So are we gonna do a test or not, Mr. Guerra?
No, it's everything on the computer, and I can see your files.
Okay. Oh, no.
How's it going? So the good news, I hope it's good news, is I looked at the box, and all but the one computer that's working were missing. The bad news is it wasn't locked. So either IT came and got them and they're working on them, or somebody wiped us out. But at least if they stole them, they stole the bad ones.
Oh, you guys are using my computer?
We have a set of classroom computers for students, and even students can check them out if they like when they're doing Zoom. So if they didn't have a laptop, they had something. But somehow this year, or this year, the beginning class had it too. Some of them stopped working, and one issue was the internet connection. So like there's at least one that won't recognize the guest. I don't know why. There's no reason not to. I tried it on my, on your phone, you could set up a little hotspot. I did that. It worked fine. So I don't know what's up with that one. There's one, I'm pretty sure the hard drive is dead. It crashed. So that one's probably dead. But the others, there's two that when we start up the computers, you have to log into the classroom, and they stopped working. It's the same password. It's been the same password for a year, and just those two stopped working. So those should be easy fixes. And then the other ones, various issues. So I've been asking him for a while, and I reminded him again the last night, and it looks like they picked them up. Or somebody else did. But if somebody stole them, they left the good one and left all the bad ones. But all the bad ones had little flags on them. What was wrong? I had a college friend stuck. Okay, try holding the power now. We'll do this. This is a force shutdown. Yeah. I had college friends who decided to all rent a house together. And they were not very responsible, first time living on their own. So they'd always leave the doors unlocked. And one morning, one of my friends woke up and said, you know what? I think we got broken into, because all the bedrooms are upstairs and everything was downstairs. So sure enough, they called the police. The police came over and they said, yeah, it's been going on around here. Okay, so what did they take? Because I need to do a police report of the items they took so we can look for them, and then you can file an insurance claim and get your stuff back. If you can't get it back, you can replace it. So he said, well, I had this portable CD player, but the CD was jammed in there. So I just use it for the radio. So it's probably not worth very much. He said, well, how much to replace it? I need the replacement value, not the value of the thing they took. And he says, well, I don't know, $250, which is okay, $250. What else? He said, well, I had this bike, but I broke the front wheel. The front wheel was bent and you couldn't really use it. She said, how much to replace it? He says, 500. Okay, 500. So I said, I felt sorry for the crooks because they stole all this stuff and it's all terrible. It doesn't work. And he's going to replace it with all new stuff. So did that work? They like to do that. Sometimes they'll give you a choice, but other times he'll just say, doing the update now, and then you got to wait.
Have you ever had anything stolen from you?
Yeah. Little things like the front yard, somebody took one of our sprinklers, or in the hook to the hose. So a dog scooper. It was you walk around and pick up dog messes. Somebody took that. They must have a dog, but that's about it.
One time, this teenager came up to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you let him? Mhm.
Grabs it and runs.
Oh really?
Oh.
That's terrible.
Wow.
So I read an article where somebody did that. A teenager come up and said his phone broke and he needed to call his mom. Can I get your phone? And she said, yeah, here. So he did. Hey mom, I'm stuck. And he talked a little bit on the phone and then handed it back. Well, she looked later, she had Venmo on there and he had used it to Venmo a whole bunch of money to his account from her account. So I thought, oh, that was sneaky. But I mean, the thing is, if somebody asks you to use their phone, say, yeah, sure, I can help you. What's her number? I'll call her right now. Never let go of the phone.
Yeah.
That's the trick. And it's too bad because just a few people ruin it for everybody. When people really do need help, nobody's going to believe them. In Modesto, I was in line for checkout, and this guy came up to me and said, I'm really sorry to do this, but we were driving from Oregon and ran out of gas, and we just need some gas to get home. Can you help me? And I was thinking, oh, really? So instead of getting money, I said, well, I'll tell you what. So as I check out here, where's your car? I'll meet you over there, and we'll get you some gas. He says, okay, thanks. And then he didn't really seem too excited. So I thought, well, I'm going to go over there, and it's not going to be there, but I'm going to go over just to see. And I walked over there, and there was a car, and there was his wife, and there was his kid, just like he said, and the license plate said Oregon. And then I felt bad because he was telling the truth. So I gave him a tank of gas.
So you never know.
Well, that's why I thought. So if I give him money, who knows? But if I say, I'll meet you there, somebody who's lying about it, even if they don't say, well, forget it. They'll say, sure. And then make me go over and there won't be anybody there. But sure enough. So then I felt so bad, I filled his tank. But you just don't know who to trust anymore.
Yeah, sometimes there's like people who ask you for they're like from hungry.
Right.
For money, and then there's a anybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're getting sneakier. Good evening. Did it come up? All right. So mine is loading. I did adjust my browser. You see, it says private browser. Because that just limits the information that's collected on from the websites and things, and it tends to run my QuickBooks a little faster. So that's why I did that. So if you look at my background, it looks different. It's dark, but it works either way as long as you put in your password and everything. When they do these programs, sometimes it's called bloat. The programmers just keep adding more, and because people bought more memory for the computers, well, they don't have to go back and clean things up because that's okay, the memory can handle it. So it gets a little sloppy. So what happens though is it slows things down as you go along.
So you have to be clean.
Yeah, you're supposed to. And that was another thing I was going to do to these computers, except you have to have the administrator's password, the boss password, to do that. It wouldn't even let me do that. But a lot of times that'll make things go faster. You know what happened was when they first bought those, they had the IT department, the computer department. They were really hands-on at the time because they were just starting out, I guess. I don't know. But over time, they've gotten less so. So like we clean out the cookies. You ever done that? You can purge the cookies from your browser, but you can't go on and do what's called the disk cleanup. So over time, I think a couple of those just really bogged down. Because the way the computer works, you know, they're saving it on the hard disk, and that inner computer is the only thing that moves. It spins. By the way, that's the only thing that's really going to wear out, because anything that moves wears out. So hard drives do wear out. That's why I always make backups. So when it saves something on your hard drive, it doesn't necessarily save it all together. Sometimes it says, okay, I'll save a little bit here. Oh, I ran out of room. Okay, I'll put it over here. Oh, I ran out of room. I'll leave the rest over here. So now it's in 3 spots. Well, 3 spots isn't bad, but when it's like 64 spots and it has to access it, it slows way down trying to get those spots. So you run the disk cleanup and that just reorganizes it. So everything is put together. Instead of 64 spots, now it's just 1 spot. And it takes a little while, but it's just good to do and keeps your hard disk moving faster.
What about like I have this habit of not.
Yeah. No, you can. But again, as you're going through and using your computer, it's storing things in its memory. And when you restart it, reboot it, like we just did, it flushes it all out and starts fresh. And that's another way to keep things going faster. So over here, so you can see here is my C drive, my hard drive. If I right click on it, you go down to properties and you'll see this disk cleanup right there. And it tells you how much you're using and everything. Now, if you own the computer, it will let you do it. When I try it, it's going to tell me I need the admin password. And these are the different things that it will do. So the big thing is the temporary internet files. Those are just what they say. When you're using the internet, they're stored on your computer just temporarily. Well, the programs don't go back and delete them. So they pile up. Like I've got, well, that's not too bad, 5 megabytes. So you don't need that. And then a lot of people don't empty the recycle bin, so that piles up. And when I click OK, it'll delete them. But when it gets to running the disk cleanup, it's going to ask me for password. So disk cleanup. The way I got to it was I opened my folder here for the Windows Explorer, little file folder at the bottom if you're using the PCs. And on this side, I had to click this PC. And here it'll show you all the devices. If you've got a thumb drive plugged in, that'll show up here. It shows you everything. So the C1 is the main one, usually almost always in C colon. So I click on that once. And then I use the right mouse button for Windows. And you get this little list. And there's a virus scanner too. That's another thing I can't do. I can't run the virus scanner. It's really annoying. They're supposed to be virus proof. So anyway, you'll see properties down below. At the very bottom. That's properties. Here it lets you change the name of your hard drive if you wanted to. Tells you how much you've used, how much you've got left. And that's another thing. By not cleaning out your like your recycle bin and things, it's just staying there, hogging up space, and then makes this smaller. When this gets too small, it makes it hard for Windows to work because it's constantly manipulating files in the background. Anyway, we use disk cleanup. And then it'll come up with some check marks here, things it will delete for you. It's part of it. say how much room you get. Read it.
Clean up system files.
You can click clean up system files. Now I can't. Well, here it comes. And give me the name and password. So I don't know when they started that, but anyway. But yours, it would just go through and do it. And then if you haven't done it in a while, it might take like an hour. If you've done it recently, just a few minutes. But you'll see it and it'll have a little grid and it'll go through and clean it up. And then you're good to go. All right, so on to QuickBooks. So yesterday, we were working with our customers. So I'm going to go to Get Paid and Pay. And we were doing our estimates with our customers. I'm going to click on my customers list. And I'm going to create a new customer. So this is the first way we use to create a customer, just clicking on new customer. So we're going to give this one a company name. It'll be King Enterprises. So this is going to be a company. I'll make up a phone number. I don't know if you ever watch on movies, whenever they have a phone number. They used to put real phone numbers in movies, but then people would call them. I wonder who that is. And when they just make one up, it'd invariably be somebody's home phone number. And so people would say, stop putting my number in your movie. So now almost all the phone numbers are 555-1212 because that call, if you call it, you get nothing. Okay, I'll give it an address, 1212 Pecan Street. And our shipping address is the same as billing. And save. All right, there it is. So that's the same as we normally do, right? I'm going to go back to customers again. I'm going to click on new customer one more time, and this time it's going to be a little different. So the company name is going to be King, and I'm going to say this is plant A. So they have different plants, meaning different branches. I'll use the same number. You don't have to do a phone number. And now you're going to see this down below here. It says this is a sub customer. All right, that's what we're going to use. We're going to use sub customers right there. I'm going to put a check mark here. And when I do, you'll see underneath that, this parent customer pops up. So basically, they're using kind of two terms there, sub customer and parent. Parent is the one the sub customer is going to be under. So this is going to be King Enterprises. So I look at my list, there they are. The other way I could do this is just start typing the word King, and there's King Enterprises. Or you can pick it from the list.
Like a branch from the other one?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is King is the big company, right? The big corporation. And then let's say they had 5 or 6 plants. So when I worked at Tri-Valley Growers, that's the way they did it. The big company was headquartered in San Francisco, but we actually had They didn't go ABC, I don't know why, but they had plant W, which was us. We were just the labels, and we were just a small little office, but they had a big warehouse full of labels. And then they had the main plant, which is, which one was that? Plant T. So that one did all the canning. That was huge. It was, in fact, they used to brag, they are the biggest single canner under a single roof in the world. Then they went bankrupt and broke it up. But, so that was a separate plant. Then they had another one, Plant Y. And then there was another one next to us they opened up. It's just basically a warehouse for storage. But that got its own designation. So each one had to buy stuff and had to deal with stuff. And so each one has its own designation and its own little admin office. All of them were accountable to San Francisco, right? So San Francisco is still the boss, but each one of these is kind of like their own independent one. So they're almost like separate companies, just they're still linked. This links them to the big one. So we have the option here to bill the parent customer, right? If I turn it off, then it's going to go to the plant address. If I say bill parent customer, then it goes to the main corporation. So it just depends on how your customer is structured. They might say, please send all the bills to the main address, and you could have as many plants, 20 plants, and they all go to the main headquarters. On the other hand, each one can have its own little admin, and they'll pay the bills out of their office. So it just depends what the customer wants to do. And they should tell you this up front. And if they don't, you got to ask, make sure it gets right. It can be really bad if you get this wrong, because from now on, if you're mailing or even emailing the invoices, they could go to the wrong spot and not get paid. And I think I mentioned this in the beginning class. When I started at Tri-Valley, I was out in the warehouse, and then they took me in to do the bookkeeping. And the guy I was replacing, he asked for it. Anyway, he was this young guy, had this attitude, and they fired him. And then his dad's a lawyer. So his dad lawyer came in and said, you know, I looked at his records. You never complained about his work. You never said anything wrong. You just gave it one day, you just fired him. You know, that's not a fair process. They said, okay. And they rehired him back, right? And said, all right, we'll rehire him back. So you're right. We didn't do it right. He comes back, more attitude. Haha, they can't fire me. Well, he did a terrible job. Then guess what they started doing? We need to see you for a minute. We noticed that you are way behind in your work, so we're going to write you up and put this in your personnel file. And he just took it like, what do they think they are, right? But you know what they were doing? They were doing exactly what his dad, the lawyer, said they needed to do the first time. Build up, give him a chance to fix it, right? Didn't catch a clue. He had no idea what they were going to do. So sure enough, it was about a month later, they said, you're fired. He said, we can't fire me. Yeah, we can. Here, I'm bringing your dad, have him look at these. You didn't respond to them. You didn't do anything better. You were, so you're finally fired. So yeah, like, okay, if it's me, hopefully you wouldn't be that way in the first place. But if you ever got stuck in that situation, when you got a second chance, you'd like, oh, whew, I'm going to really clean things up. And then even if you wanted to leave, I would look for another job, even if I didn't like this job. But don't burn your bridges like that. It's crazy. So anyway, so I go in and I open the drawers. And while I'm working, one day I noticed in the back, like, you know, the drawers had the files here, and then there was a drawer and a bunch of envelopes. And I wonder what this is. So I looked at them, and they were checks. Now, Tri-Valley Growers gets a check. It's not for like $50. It was for like $1 million, 2.5 million, 3 million. You know, these are huge checks, and they were dated like a year ago. So I thought, what's going on? Why? First of all, why is our little plant getting these big checks? You know, we don't bill anybody anything, right? We actually just have expenses to make the labels run on the cans. So what's going on? So we did a little investigation, and I figured it out. What happened was, when they send out the bills in San Francisco was a little cheap. And what they did is, we also had a printing plant that printed on the labels. So the big office in San Francisco said, hey, can you guys, when you guys don't have anything to do, run us some of your, or give us some of your envelopes? Sure. So they're manila envelopes. They fit their invoices perfectly. They didn't have to fold them, you know, 8 by 11. The only thing was, the manila envelopes had our return address on the envelope. Well, that shouldn't be a problem because in good bookkeeping, you remit, you send the check to whatever it says on the invoice. It should actually say, as you see on our invoice, send payment to this address. I think, this was my theory, and everybody believed me, that they got fast, lazy, whatever, and weren't paying attention, and they used the return address on the envelope, not the invoice. And that's why they got all these checks. So the next question is, why was he just putting them there? I don't think he was trying to steal them, or maybe he was, but he didn't know what to do with them. So he just stuck them back there. Or maybe he thought, hey, I'll just hang on to them and see what happens, and maybe I can cash them. Never. And you get arrested. I mean, that's an easy one. So they packed them up and sent them to San Francisco. And they said, oh, thanks. Yeah, okay, great. So the next question was, didn't anybody miss this? I mean, if I didn't have $1 million I was expecting, I think I'd start asking somebody, hey, where's my million? And who knows? So something was going on. That was a mess. So anyway, they cleaned it up. So that's an example of where they were supposed to send it to the parent company, but instead got it wrong and sent it to our little plant, right? Because they were using that return address, and that's what they put in the computer. And I'll bet they're going to blame the computer. Oh, that got entered in the computer wrong. And so, yeah, it was the computer was sending you those checks. Okay, well, who put it in the computer? You know, there's a thing in computers called GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. Meaning if you put the wrong information in, you can't expect the computer to do it right. It doesn't know any better. So if you have the wrong parent customer, you know, it's going to completely mess things up. So we'll have it bill the parent customer on this one. Now in this case, we're going to change the shipping address. So this would be very common because you're going to send the bills to the headquarters, but you're going to send the stuff to their plant. So this one, we're just going to change the address. And then what I would do here is we said this is plant A. I would always put in the plant A somewhere in here. So the first line is the physical address, but there's a note here on the second line that'll say the plant, just again to avoid any confusion. Because once you start having this, everybody can mess up. Even in this day of computerized everything. I live on Westmore Court. 2 streets over is Westmore Drive, and another one in our neighborhood is West Lane. And we keep getting each other's mail. And it's the letter carrier, whoever's doing the sorting, is not paying attention and just West something. Okay, there it goes. And then I end up getting it. And one guy in West Lane gets really mad every time it happens. So I said, call them up. I told them, boy, they don't pay attention. Anyway, that's why you want to make sure this address is correct so it does get to the right person. Okay, I'm going to click save. And you'll notice, let's go to my customer list. When I see King, now look at that. There's the main one, and then indented down below is the child or the sub customer under the parent. So it even shows it visually here by indenting it, right? So that works. So you can have 7 or 8 different sub-customers under the one customer. You have to be careful. The customer needs to tell you this, or you need to call and clarify, because what'll happen is, it's a good one. Okay, say McDonald's buys something from you. Well, each McDonald's can be independently owned, which means they have really little to do with the parent company. The parent company just signs their lease and everything else. That's about it. But as far as expenses and things they buy, everything goes to them, just as if they were, you know, McDan's or something, a different company altogether. So you don't want to be joining them if they don't really belong together. So that's why, like I said, the customer will tell you. The other way to do this is you don't have to use this plant A as a sub-customer. They can just be a standalone regular customer and just be listed like this. The advantage to this, though, is if they do want you to build a parent company, this makes it a lot easier. The other thing, too, is if you have plant A, plant B, and plant C, at the end of the year, you say, how much did King Enterprise, how much did we get from them overall? You can run a report on their customers, and it'll include all the plants underneath them. Okay. Let's do that again. That's so fun. So I'm going to go up to customers. Let's click on new customer. And when my computer loads, there it comes. So again, we'll do it as a company name. Now, could it be individuals? Yes. It's more common, though. It's usually under a company, a corporation. But it is possible if you had a family and let's say the mom's going to cover all the bills for the kids. You can put the mom as literally the parent and the kids as sub-customers underneath them. And that way, if anything, like the kids don't pay up, send a statement to the mom. So that would work. But in this case, it's going to be a company name. And we'll just make it ABC Products. I'll make up a phone number again. Since this is going to be the parent, you do not check this. Is it a sub-customer or is it a sub-customer? Okay. So we're going to leave that one alone. And then I'll just make up another address. And this one, the shipping address would be the same as billing address. However, so this is going to be the ABC product headquarters, right? But we might never ship anything to them. We might just send them the bills like we're going to do now. Okay, so there's ABC products, just like normal. Go back to my customers. Click on new one more time. So they're located in Patterson, but now they have a branch in Modesto. So I'll do that. So you can do that. Remember, they can't be the same name. If I try to do this and just call it ABC Products, when I try to save it, I'll get an error because it can't be the exact same name. So you have to go with something different. Well, that's okay because it's going to be in Modesto anyway. So this way we'll be able to tell the difference on the list. What'll happen, as you'll see on the list, is sometimes you don't get a lot of room. So some people will do it the other way. Like this, something like that. So that's possible. We're not going to have that problem. So I'll go back to that. Again, this company name is really just for you. What makes you comfortable in recognizing this? The computer cares about this. This is the thing that has to be distinct, but it doesn't care about what's in that content as long as it's different than the other one. So we're going to link that. After making up another phone number. We'll link it by making is a sub-customer. And again, now we have to tell it, what are we linking it to? Which is the parent customer? It's the ABC. And the other thing I could have done when I set up the main customer, the parent, I could have said ABC Products dash corporate office, something like that. If you do that, and I put it here, like this one wouldn't really be right, but it would look like this.
So in this, can we use this
Sub-customer.
sub-customer for payments, billing,
Mhm.
estimates, everything?
Yep, just like normal. So it would be like this with a corporate office. Then over here in the display name, see, I could wipe that out. If I had done it this way, the customer will never know I'm calling them corporate office. This is only for internal use. Here's how it's going to show on all their bills and everything else. So you're always free to do that. I'm going to go back to Modesto because that's going to make more sense. You'll also see down here, name to print on checks. In this case, because they're a subsidiary or part of ABC Products, we're going to take out the Modesto part here because that's not in their official name. And this is just how the checks are going to show if you're generating checks. Right? It'll say pay to the order of. This has to be accurate. If they're registered with their bank as ABC Products and they're in Modesto, they have a Modesto bank, and I send them a check and says ABC Products dash Modesto, technically the bank is not supposed to take it, right? They'll block it. And it happens sometimes. The banks don't always catch it. And usually, now with electronic transactions, it doesn't matter because they're going by the account numbers. But in this case, a physical clerk would look at this and say, I'm sorry, I can't take this. This doesn't match what I have on my screen. Then you got to go back and reissue it. So you can just edit it out here. It doesn't change what's going to show up here. This time, we're going to bill the parent customer. So you'll notice the billing address pops up from before. But we're going to change the billing address, right? Because we're sending products to the Modesto, then we're going to bill Patterson, the main office. So I'm going to turn this off. I'll make up an address, but this time it's going to be in Modesto. So see how that works? So the shipping, all the stuff is going to go to this Freedom Way. So if they order books, the books go here. When I send the bill, though, it's going to go to the Patterson one. They're going to be responsible. And I'll click Save. And even here in the customer list, you can see ABC Products Modesto is indented. Right. Now, if they start opening one in series and other places, I might go back and adjust this first one, name it headquarters or something, just because I'm starting to get confused with all these ABC products everywhere. When you look at your pick list, you will see ABC shows up first, and the tendency is, well, pick the first one you see, and sometimes that's not the case. So anything that makes it clear, you can always change it as you go along. Look at my customer list. Okay. Got one more scenario. Here's a scenario where you're a contractor. And let's say you have customers who want you to do something for them, like a fence project, right? You can set up each project as a sub-customer. There's also a way to do it as projects. So we'll do it both ways. So I'm going to go to New Customer. And this time it is going to be an individual. So we'll make her Jane Hairdale. So this time, no company name. Again, just to have it, I'll make up a phone number. since she's going to be responsible for all the projects, she will not be the sub-customer. She's the parent customer. So we'll make up a billing address for her. This one says same as billing. That would be the same. That's fine. Shipping and billing are the same. So go back to customer list. Yep, there she is. So you'll see here on all these, the customers are exactly the same. They have all the same functions. There's no difference yet. Their difference comes in basically how they're handled. So let's do a new customer. And this one is going to be a sub-customer. It's going to be her fence project. So she's going to ask you to build a fence. And all loads here. Same name, but down here in the display name, we'll do that, like dash fence project or something like that. Because again, it can't be the same as before. And you want it to be as descriptive as possible. So I'll make up a crazy phone number again. And then this time I'm going to mark it is a sub-customer. And the parent customer is going to be Jane. You're going to bill the parent customer for this project. So it'll be the same address down below. And then shipping, since it's going to be at her house, will be the same too. Yeah, same as, because it's one individual, she's just having you do two projects. And we did this, I mentioned this as a construction project, but even if you're in retail, let's say Jane's a longtime customer and they're gonna have a birthday party and she wants to give everybody at the birthday party the book that we have, right? Loves the book. So we're gonna set up a birthday party project for her so she gets her books in time or whatever. So you could set it up as a project that. Usually it would be like a few things that are going to happen over time, and especially if you want to bill her in installments too. So that would be a good reason to do this. Then you could set up, she's got a birthday project and maybe that worked out so great. So now there's a wedding coming up. So she wants to do the same thing for the wedding or whatever. So it can happen in retail. Usually though, retail, you end up more along the first scenarios where you have different locations under the main corporation. Let's go to customers again. Let's do one more new customer under Jane. She liked the fence so much she wants you to build a pool even before we finish the fence project. So we'll give her a pool.
You can add any amount of customers.
Yep. Yeah. Now,
or service or like you're selling, you're offering service, doesn't matter.
Right. Like I said, if let's say you're you're an attorney, you could set it up Jane Airedale, the civil suit, and then she also gets arrested. Jane Airedale criminal suit, right? Then because of that she gets divorced. Jane Airedale divorce. So you have three different activities. When you work on the divorce as an attorney, you don't bill the other ones, you bill this project. And then.
So let's see if I have my photography business and I my client, and I want to send an invoice. Can I make a sub-customer, like let's say the family session, the one, right? Or the.
You could, but usually if you're just going to send them one invoice and be done, it's not worth the effort to do all
but
that.
let's see then they hire me or like a different portion, like like a birthday cake, like a wedding, like, can I do this or?
You can.
Doesn't, okay.
There's nothing wrong with doing it. It's just more work on your part because the way you're doing it, you're doing same customer, just different things. This is usually for like a project. So like a pool, you know, you don't say, oh, here's your pool. You're done, right? They got to dig the hole. They got to bring in the concrete. So there's a lot of activity going on with invoices and with your vendors. So that's why you'd want to have a separate project. You can do that for customers, for like photography. It's just, you'll be doing it every single time.
Right.
And it's not necessary and it doesn't really get you anything.
Right.
Well, let's see. Let's try and come up with a scenario for photography. If they were doing, okay, so let's say it's a wedding, but these people want to put everything on their Instagram and they want to use your photos for it. And they want to do it. Have you ever seen the shows like Bridezilla or everything where they start from scratch? So they want to catalog that, right? And they have twins. So they're going to do it for two different daughters, right? At the same time. And they think they're going to become internet stars by doing this. Okay, fine. Their money. You know, they got the money. We'll do it. That way, you might want to set up Twin A or Sarah, whatever her name is, and Brittany, right? That way you can keep track. Okay, so we did the shoot for the dress fitting for one, but the other one hasn't done it yet. So see, it's like two tracks. So that might work. That's kind of an oddball situation, but that would work. And that would be helpful because then you can, instead of just, if you have the parent's name in there as the customer, instead of looking and saying, oh, you know, where are we at? Let me look at the invoice of what I've invoiced for. Dress fitting. Oh, who was that for? You know, then you got to think. And if you have them up as sub customers, then you already know, like basically they're almost like separate customers, even though they're under the same umbrella. So that would be an very odd situation, but that would work. And that would just be a way to keep things clear. And then at the end, you know, you could basically tell, like maybe the dress fitting for one didn't go well, so they want to do reshoots and pretend like it never happened and start over again. Well, then you're going to charge them more. So that project, you know, that'll grow more than the other project. So that would be one. All right, so let's go back to Jane and her pool. And you can make it a sub-customer. Okay. So we'll go ahead and build a parent customer again. Same deal as before, and save. And now when I go back to my customers, she's got two sub-customers. So they're all set up, right? See, we have three different customers that have sub-customers underneath them. And great. All right, it's 6:54, it's break time. We'll come back at 7:04 and we'll start doing invoices. All right, so we're back. Now we're going to start working with our new customers and sub-customers. So I do have this ad popping up. I'm just going to close it. And it's basically asking me, would I like to use QuickBooks' online billing method? No, thanks for now. Then you'll see this, and you might have this one popping up now. It says you can convert first level of sub-customers into their own projects. So each sub-customer can have sub-customers. Yes. Do you know what plug it needs? Do you know what that cable?
It's a computer from the district, so.
Does it look like? Yeah, let's see if this will work. See, ours are different because it came through the adult school program. But let's see this. So, district. Okay. Did it work? Okay, so
I have, sure.
those are handy.
Oh yeah, especially for Meg.
My sister works in an SOB, and they were out, I forgot what it was, there's some kind of court case, and they weren't allowed to use the plugs inside the courthouse. So they were all outside, and all the other news places, they had their smartphones.
Yeah.
They burned out. And she was still recording. I said, how are you doing that? And she had one of those power packs. So, yeah, smart. And now they will also charge your, restart your car and work as like a little extra battery pack and all kinds of things. Okay, so I was saying here we have the sub-customers. They can be converted. You'll see this convert now. I'm not going to convert anybody yet, but See all our sub-customers show up here. And I could do like the pool project. I'm not going to click convert, but you can actually adjust these if they want to become their own customers. So you can always do that.
Sorry, Mr. Carroll, the last question.
Do you have this little message up here at the top of customers? Do you organize customers, sub-customers as projects? Okay. Well, the other way to do it is I'm going to click on ABC Products Modesto and then click on Edit. And when it comes up, I'm just going to turn the check mark off where it says sub-customer, and then it becomes its own customer. There it goes. See, is a sub-customer. Save. I go to my customer list. Now they're independent. They're all at the same level. See here with ABC, they're all left aligned, whereas my other ones with sub-customers have the indent. So the reverse is also true. I'll click on ABC Products Modesto again, click up here on Edit, and I can put the check mark back. And you can actually take any customer and make them sub-customers of any other customers. Oops. When it comes up, you just have to identify which is the sub-customer. Okay, so this one's ABC Products Modesto, sub-customer of ABC Products. And now it's indented again. So I'm going to go to ABC Products, the corporation, the main one, edit that one. And just to show you it can be done, a parent customer can be converted into a sub-customer. I'll make Allie. See what I did here? So the way to read this is, Allie is the parent customer because she's left aligned. ABC Products Modesto is a sub-customer of ABC Products. ABC Products is a sub-customer of Allie. And see how they indent as far as they go? So you could do that. Like in retail and things, it's pretty rare to have to do that. But if you want them, that's a way to organize them. And then what this is basically saying is Allie is going to be responsible for everything that's underneath her, even the one that's like indented twice. Even though this is sub-customer of this, because she's the umbrella over all of them. Eventually, something really push came to shove, and it reports to her. So you could talk to her. Hey, I need to talk to you about this Modesto office. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off because I don't want that right now. So I'm going to go back to my main ABC products and edit.
So we have Allie or?
I did Allie just to show you could do it.
But, to
To remove it, you go to the child, not the parent.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm going to turn off. This is my main ABC products. I'm going to turn off is a sub-customer. And I go back to my customer list. See, now they're independent. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to leave them. But just so you know, you can adjust these anytime. And if you ever decide, you know, this is sub-customers, I don't like these, I'm going to turn them all off. You can do that. And then what it was offering me here was a chance to do them all at once. If I want to get rid of them, I can do that and then convert all of them in one shot. It should show up here like this, right under your status bar. You don't have that? Okay. There's another way to do it. You can go up here into the list up here to do that. But usually, if you're going to use sub-customers, you probably don't ever want to turn them all off. I'll just hide that for now. All right, I want to create an invoice for the sub-customer, ABC Products, just to do it and see what happens. So I'm going to click on Create Invoice. Okay, so they come up, and then I'm just going to create a standard invoice, nothing fancy. I'll sell them some t-shirts. Just two. Yes, they're taxable. And baseball caps. 2 each. Okay, so I'm going to save and close. So just like normal, but here's where it gets interesting. It does show me now that ABC Modesto has an outstanding balance, but so does the parent. So it's only one amount. So when you use the sub-customers, your open balances get a little confusing that way. And I don't know why. They don't indent it over here. If it were me and they asked my opinion, I would indent this one just like the name is indented, just to make it clear. Now they're not independent. But when you see this, it doesn't mean they owe us twice. They just owe us once. However, see how this came up? Receive payment on both of them. So I can receive payment from either one, whichever one I want to receive payment for, and it will still clear it out. Normally, depending on your billing and shipping addresses, if the Modesto place got ordered something, they're going to be the ones to pay it. So there's a payment. We'll do it by check. Send it directly to the checking account. I did the Modesto. ABC Products Modesto. And I'll save and close. See how I cleared them both out together? Still only one payment. But that's a way to tell you that whatever amount here, this is the organization that's responsible for it, but so is this. As far as QuickBooks is concerned, either one can pay it, whatever you had set up as the billing address and shipping address.
So pretty much the only thing that will change is you want to send the product, you can go to a different location. But once you do a payment or you create an invoice, doesn't matter who you choose for that.
It would. Remember my example of sending the checks to the wrong place?
Yeah.
It could. But here's what we did. Let me go back to my Modesto. So Modesto bought the stuff, right? I'm going to click on Edit. And because we set it up at the very beginning, this now should be automatic until they change their mind and say, we're going to change how we do things. We don't want it going over to Patterson. We're our own place now. If you tell it, here we go, is a sub-customer, you'll see it says bill parent customer. That's what linked them together, that part right there. Could I turn it off and just put in the same address here for the billing address and shipping address? Yes, I could. But this way, it connects them on that other screen, so you can see. Because, as we'll see, you could have 2 or 3 projects underneath that one customer, and you can see the total amount for the customer and then subtotals for each project. Okay, so let's go back to customers. Let's go down to King Enterprises. And then we'll do Plant A and create an invoice. So this is going to be the key, the billing address. And this comes from when we first set it up. So that's why I said you want to get that one right, even if you have to call the customer to make sure you got it clear where the bill should go, because that's where it's going to be billed. And then let's make the bill we're to send. So this time we'll do the books. Oh, I'm out of books. And a coupon book. Okay, so save and close. And when I scroll down again, you'll see these here. Okay, before we received this payment though, they came along and said, you know what, we want to expand. We have another plant we'd like you to serve for us, but go ahead and put us as the billing contact. It's going to be Plant B. So I'm going to say, all right, happy to do business with you. Click on New Customer. And again, we're going to use company name, King Enterprises, Plant B. And then phone number. It's going to be a sub-customer. Parent customer is King. But you'll notice I could select Plant A. So this could be a sub-customer under Plant A if I wanted to. I don't want to go that far. Just plain King Enterprises. And we'll go ahead and leave it bill the parent customer. Actually, I want to turn off bill parent customer. And save. Okay, so let's take a look. Now you see what happened. They had that 84.51 bill from before, but Plant B is not responsible for it. It only goes up. It doesn't trickle down. Let's create an invoice for Plant B though. And this will be something small, just a pen, company pen. 1. Save and close. Okay. So now you can see what's going on. So Plant A owes us this amount. Plant B owes us that amount. The parent company owes us the total, the two combined. So depending on how I set it up to pay, right? Either this can pay, then this can pay, and that'll be fine, that'll cover the debt. Or this could pay the total. Depends, again, if you used the same address for the billing. Wherever the bill goes, they're gonna get it and say, okay, it's Yes, we owe this, we'll write the check, right? See how that works? So again, I can't tell you from here how it's going to work, but when I receive the payments, it's already set up, it should run automatically. So last time we did it from the parent. This time, let's have the sub-account receive payment for Plant B. So again, same as normal. Payment method will be check. Put a check number in there and save and close. So Plant B now is 0, and they took the amount off of the corporate office. And so that one's done. This time, because last time we had the parent company pay for it, let's have the sub company receive payments. Once again, they'll pay by check. Save and close. And they're all zeros. See how that works? Because they're connected, the parent can pay for the sub account anytime. It doesn't work the other way though. If the sub account owes 10, but the parent owes 100, you can't do it that way. You can only go down. Okay, and that would make sense. I mean, why would just in that structure, why would the sub account want to pay for the parent account when they're just dealing with their stuff? And I think I'd mentioned that to you about when we talk about purchase orders. When I worked at Plant W, we would get everybody else's bills, and that made the plant manager really mad because we're not careful. You end up paying the bills. It comes out of your budget. Then you got to do a budget reconciliation. Huge mess. So one of the ways they fixed it was creating a purchase order system that they didn't have before, and that's the one that just it was a binder with some college ruled paper, and people just had to write down whenever they bought something with a W, and the first one was W001, W002, and as long as it said that on the invoice, they'd pay for it. And she said, if it doesn't say that, I'm not paying for it, period. So make sure you use them. And it took a while, but they got used to it. And then we stopped receiving the Plant 7 invoices, which were huge. That was the problem. And then the problem was they got our phone number. So when they didn't get paid because it went to the wrong place, they would call up and complain to us. Well, it had nothing to do with it. So it gets a little confusing to some people. The vendors are trying to get paid. They just don't have this set up correctly, and they're complaining to the wrong place. We have no idea. We didn't order any cherries. We don't do that here. We order paper. You got paper? We have paper, we'll pay for it, but not for cherries. Cherries is the other one. See how that worked? Okay. Now, estimates are going to work the same way, right? So let's go into estimates. Well, let's see. Somebody had trouble getting into estimates. So let's just do it this way. I'm going to go into the fence project under Jane Airedale and do it like this. Create estimate. Okay, so we're going to give an expiration date. We'll make it November 15th, just to give her some time to decide. Now, for some reason, even though this is a pool project, she's ordering caps. And shirts. This part doesn't make much sense. But whatever items here, if you're really doing this as a construction, it would be the rebar, 5 pallets of rebar or whatever they need. That would show up here instead of logo t-shirt. Okay. Make these both taxable. And I'll save and close. By the way, last night, I must have hit save and send accidentally again because I got another invoice or another estimate from myself when I got home. Okay, so we do have the one estimate at the top here, you can see. Ta-da. It will not show here because remember, this is only when they owe us money from invoices. So we haven't invoiced anything yet. So those will all still be zero, right? Okay, now I'm going to do the pool project. So I'm going to create estimate. Yeah, so I have one for each. And again, yes. Or if you did it the other way, maybe I was just thinking, I may have said pool first. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so the first one's supposed to be for fence. If you did it the other way, just do the fence now. We just want to have one each. So I'm going to create an estimate for my other one. It's a pool project. And the same deal, just pick a couple products. We'll make the same expiration date. November 15th.
Coupons is not taxable.
All right, turn that off. Thank you. Turn off my sales tax. So we'll save and close. All right, so now I got two estimates. As far as the computer's concerned, these are separate customers, right? So far, because they haven't gotten any invoices. Once they get invoices, then the parent starts taking over. So you'll see here, you can start invoices on either one. Well, let's say she changed her mind. She said, you know what? I don't even want the fence anymore. I just want the pool. So we're going to cancel the fence. All right. No problem. We can do that. So I'm going to click on the fence project open estimate. That's the first one on my list. There it is. And you'll see that here on the list of transactions, it's only showing the fence project transaction. And we only have one. But if I looked at her customer information, I'd see two estimates. In fact, let me do that. Just prove I know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to click over here where Jane's name is by herself. And see that? There's our two estimates for two different projects. So I'm going to go back to the fence. I'm going to click on the word estimate because I want to bring this back up. And the left-hand side here, see it says pending. Well, she canceled on me, so we're going to say rejected. I'll say Jane A, today's date. Okay, save and close. So now you'll see it's rejected here. If I click on Jane's name here, it'll show one pending, which we happen to know is the pool one, and then one rejected. So see, she's still responsible for it. So when I look at my customers, I still don't have any dollar amounts because I haven't done any invoicing. So Jane said we're dropping the fence project, right? So I don't really need it on my list. If we're not going to do it, she rejected my estimate and we're not going any further with this. I can clean up my list by putting a check mark here on the fence project one, going to the top, and where it says batch actions, I can make it inactive. Says, are you sure? Yes, I do. Because we have nothing going on. So just like we can make customers inactive and vendors and products, you can do the same for sub-customers. So now all we have is our active pool project, which she is going to go through. Say that works. So again, that just cleans up your list. It doesn't matter if you want to leave it there, it doesn't hurt anything. If you ever want to see it again, because again, we can't delete those transactions. We actually did create an estimate for her, and we want to keep that history because later on she might say, you know what, I need that estimate again. Let's go ahead and go for that. If you'll honor it, I'll do it. You know, I need a fence around my pool now. Okay, so you might want to bring it back up. To do so, to always see it, you just use this little wheel over here and say on my list, I want to include inactive. And there she is. Okay, I'll turn it off just so it doesn't show. Pardon me? I turned off the fence and left the pool on. So I left it inactive. See here. So there's only one. So that can happen all the time too, especially if you are in the business where you're using a lot of estimates. That would be a good way to categorize your transactions, put them under a project. Then if that project falls through for whatever reason, you say, fine, I'll make it inactive and it's kind of put to bed. Let's work on the stuff that is active. So I've got one estimate left. I'm going to click on that. There it is. And just like before, I'm going to create an invoice off the estimate. And once again, you could split it up half and half and all that like we did before. This time we'll just do everything at once and create the invoice. So there's my invoice.
And that's your way was how much do you want to invoice? It was the remaining total.
Everything, yes. Yeah, I was saying we could split it up, but I don't want to make it that complicated. She's going to pay everything at once. So the if you want to close the estimate that we did for the fence, yes, open that and then mark it as rejected, or you can mark it as closed. Either way. Then when you're done with that, you should only have the pool project left. So I went to that estimate and I created an invoice off of it. By the way, I could have also, I did it through estimates. I could have done it right here when it said create invoice. You get the same results. So now we're ready to receive payment. There's the invoice. So she'll pay by check. And save and close. And now both Jane as a customer and her sub-account, sub-customer, are zero.
And the fence project, you erased that one, right?
I didn't erase it, but I marked it as inactive by clicking on the box here next to fence project where it says batch and actions, make inactive. because
So we're rejected first, right?
yeah, usually it wouldn't want to. Let me do that. Usually you would not want to make something inactive if it had something pending, something open, and that could be a purchase order. It could be the estimate. Oops. And if, like I said, changes their mind again, I can just make it active again. There it is. So the way I marked it as inactive is I click this box under batch actions, make inactive. And I'll always ask, are you sure? Just because you don't want to accidentally do that, because then you'll wonder what happened to it, where'd it go? Oh, I accidentally made it inactive.
I see behind, for the pool,
Mhm.
did we send, an invoice?
Yes. Yeah. So if you haven't done that, you can create invoice for the pool project. And then we're going to use it's going to do all the remaining. And then we receive the payment. And when you're done, you can look at my chart of accounts and go to my checking account. Let me see. I'm going to delete mine. So here's our pool project one. And I'll go back and check it out here. So under a pool project, do you have a dollar amount here?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can use receive payment here.
But I'm already gonna send because I just sent the estimate. So after the estimate, I need to.
Okay, if you've sent an estimate,
Yeah.
and that's all you've done, this should be 0. Because this will only occur because an invoice has been sent. So because I have this here, I sent an invoice. So what I'll do is let me get rid of it.
Yeah, I have zero balance and just the amount for the estimate.
Okay.
So do I create an invoice?
Yeah, let me delete mine. And there it goes. So see, here's a pool project with a 0. So you can do it from here, create invoice. And then because there's an outstanding estimate, this will show over here. And I say, okay, I want to add that estimate. And then total of all estimate lines. You should get that. And you click on copy to invoice. And then it should fill it in here, whatever it was you selected for that invoice. Now you'll notice when we did this one, I did not go in and accept the invoice first. So the computer's going to assume accept the estimate first. You know how we mark it accepted? Didn't do that. That's okay. The computer's going to assume if you're doing an invoice off of it, it must have been accepted. So you can skip that step if you wanted to. Usually though, these steps occur in over a month or so. So when she calls up and says, okay, it's accepted, then you probably do want to go in and mark it, just because it might be a week before you get around to doing an invoice. So when I save and close now the pool project has a dollar amount. Remember the rule is, if it ever shows an open balance, it's because of an invoice, or like in these cases, because we uploaded it and it had previous balances. So then I'll just go ahead and receive her payment. So she's going to pay by check. That's the check number. and save and close. And I'm going to tell it not to include inactive. So now she only has one active project. I can't say she only has one project. She has two. One's inactive, but she has one active one. See how that worked? And then, like I said, if I want to see that everything processed correctly, I can go to my chart of accounts, view my check register, and there she is. Does that make sense? So it's basically, even though they are sub-customers, QuickBooks just says, fine, they're a customer, whether they're sub or not, and we'll treat them that way all the way through. Here's where it can make a difference. Let's go back into our reports. So I'm going to go to Business Overview. And when my computer decides to load, here we go. I want to look at my reports. Oops, I missed. There it is. Click on Reports. And then I want to scroll down to my customer reports. So you'll see under Sales and Customers. So I'm going to click on this one, Sales by Customer Summary. You'll see how it breaks it out now. For each sub-customer, it's grouped with its parent here and gives me a total, basically a subtotal. Now, so far, I think only Jane's, or King, pardon me, has two that add up to something else. But you'll see here, she only did one. But this is what it was doing. So it's tracking them not as completely separate customers, but it gives you subtotals under that umbrella. So you can see, well, who's the best corporation we're working with. And then if you send this to Excel, you can do a pie chart, makes it look really pretty, and really see who your marketing people need to spend more time.
How will you send this to Excel where it says export?
Yes, I remember that from the beginning class. At any point, you can take these reports, and you've got this here, export, and I'll go ahead and set it to Excel. Now you do have, if you use this Excel, it has to have Excel on your computer for this to work. So mine, I have to tell it, enable editing. So up here, this is the virus thing, because they're afraid since Excel doesn't really know where it's coming from, QuickBooks doesn't identify itself. Excel says, I'm going to rely on you to tell me this is okay, because look what happened. It didn't put any numbers here yet. So when I tell it, okay, it's okay, Excel, nothing to worry about, and I enable it, then it should fill. There it goes. Like that. So again, it gives you those breakdowns, and then you can manipulate with Excel any way you like. The other way to do this is you can select all the text, and you can send this to a PDF file, and then you're able to copy it. I can't do it from here. And then paste it into Excel or whatever you're using. If you're not using Excel and it can't export, you can send it to PDF, copy that, and move that into, let's say, Google Sheets or whatever program you want. And then you can manipulate it that way. The other way would be, you'll notice what it did, it saved it on my hard drive. So when I hit export, I get this little message up here. So what it really did, now I did it twice, it saved it under my downloads. Most programs, most spreadsheet programs will accept Excel files. So if I don't have Excel on here, but I do have, say, well, Google Sheets, I can tell Google Sheets to open this and it will do it right, because we didn't do anything fancy on it. It's just plain data, plain numbers and words. So it's compatible. So that's another way to do that. See how that works? And then once again, I want to go back to reports. The difference between the summary and down here under customers, sales by customer detail. This detail gives you a lot more info. I think of this TMI, too much information. This is great. If I were looking for a question or a problem, I probably want to use this. But when I just want to know, all right, who's my best customer and all this detail and things, what they purchased, doesn't really matter. I just really want these numbers. But you'll see across the board in all the reports, there are detail and summary, detail and summary. That's basically the difference. So this way, you'll see Doug, Doug is not a sub-customer and has no sub-customers. But in the detail, he does get a subtotal because it's listing each transaction out. So it appears that way. And then we have Jane. Actually, Jane's not a good one to look at. Let's look at the top, ABC. So ABC, see there, and then we get the subtotal down there, like that for everything. So see how it breaks it out. And same down here with King. So there's total for plan A, total for plan B, and then the grand total. So this part right here is really the reason, or the philosophy of having these sub customers, because it organizes them as related to another customer, but not actually the customer. So I'll go back to my customers. See how the sub customers work? It can be really handy, especially if you do want to do some analysis. But even if you're just trying to keep things separate. And as I mentioned, like with a large company like we had with Tri-Valley, it really does help, because the sending bills to the wrong place is an easy way to slow things down. And you don't want that to happen. You want to get your money ASAP. All right, if there are no questions, we are done for the evening. Tomorrow, we're going to start with payroll. That gets exciting. Payroll is one of those things, if you like people and are very patient, you could do a human resources job. I don't know I could do it because people don't, the employees, they don't come in and say, you know what, I got my check last week. You guys are doing a great job. I just want to tell you, keep it up, thumbs up, right? It's how come I got this deduction? I need this money this weekend. What are you going to do about it? That's not my fault. And you have to say, okay, let's take a look. Let me look and let's work it out. Peace to everybody. You're welcome.
Hasta luego. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. We only have one more week, right? And then you start with the Microsoft right away?
No, that'll be a week break and then Microsoft.
Have a good night.
Thank you. So it'll be Word for 2 weeks, and if you just want to do Excel,
I just want to do the Excel.
jump into Excel.
Okay,
So it'll be 3 weeks.
okay.
But I'll send you emails to
I
remind you.
appreciate that, yes. And I'm gonna bring Gladys with me because she has no idea what it is and what you have to learn it.
It's good stuff. We
It
start
is.
from the very beginning, so you don't have to know a lot.
That's good. I always tell them, even if you don't use it, like, it's good to know just how to use it,
And know what it is.
right?
Because like you see here, even with QuickBooks, if you don't know how to use Excel, you can still export it to Excel.
Yeah, I show
Yeah,
her.
then-
I open it.
Yeah.
I show her how
Right
to
on.
do it, so. And I show her how you can convert the data and then graphic and just use that.
Right? You can print it, turn it into the boss, and they'll say, "Oh, you're good with Excel," and you don't say, "Oh, that's all I know." You say, "Yes, I am. I am very good. That's why I deserve a raise."
Right? Well, seriously, if you go and ask for a job and you tell them, hey, I have a certificate in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and then you have a one from QuickBooks, that's what they need.
Yeah.
What they ask for. So,
Right on.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Good night.
Thank you. You too.